Shavua Tov Rabotai, we're continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Shabbat. We're up to Perek Yud Zayin Mishnah Daled. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilu Nishmat Neria ben Tzvetlana Aranbai and Eliyahu ben Burcha Yisraelov Menuchatam Began Eden. Amen. This Mishnah begins by introducing another category of Muktzeh. Rabbi Yossi says, Kol Kelim Nitalin, all utensils, even those whose main use is forbidden, may be moved on Shabbat for permitted use, like we taught in Mishnah Bet. Chutz min hamasar hagadol ve'ated shel macharesha, except for a large saw used to cut wooden beams, and a coulter, which is a large knife-like tool that is attached to a plow and cuts into the ground ahead of the plow, because a utensil of this type may not be moved at all, even for permitted use, because its owner is particular to use it only for its primary purpose, which is forbidden, and therefore it designates a place in which to store the utensil when it's not in use. And this category of muktzeh is known as muktzeh machmat chesron kis, muktzeh because of a monetary loss. It includes articles whose owner does not allow them to be used for anything other than their main purpose, because he is afraid that they will be damaged and he will suffer a substantial loss. Now, we mentioned earlier when we said the introduction to Mishnah 2, that one may move a utensil whose main use is forbidden, what we call kli shemelachto li'isul, for the sake of a permitted activity, or because one needs to use the space it occupies, what we call the tzorch gufo mikumo, but one may not move it for its own protection, such as taking it out of the sun, mechama letzel. Here the Mishnah discusses the use of utensils whose main use is permitted. Kol hakelim nitalin letzorch v'shelo letzorech. All utensils whose main use is permitted may be moved, whether for a purpose, meaning to use them, or to clear the place they occupy, or not for a purpose, meaning for no purpose except their own protection. This is how the Rav explains. The Rav says, Hachi Kama, you read the Mishnah like this, Kol kelim shemelachtan leheter, any utensil which its use is for permitted use, kegon karot, bowls, v'kosot, cups, nitalim etzorch gufo, etzorch mikumo shel kli, you can move them for its own use or for the space it occupies, and even for no use, even if you don't need its place or for its own use, or just to, rather, what do you want to do? You just want to move it from sun to shade, or the thief shouldn't steal it. Shari, you are allowed by an item that is used for permitted use. Rabbi Nechemia says, even utensils whose main use is permitted may not be moved except for a purpose, specifically the purpose for which they are intended. So, for example, a knife may be moved only to cut and not to support an unbalanced plate. And this is how the Rav explains it based off the Gemara. Right? Mefaresh b'Gemara, the Gemara explains that tzorech tashmish mechalo bilvad, specifically for the purpose that it was intended, not for any other use, even if you want to use it for a permitted use, like we said, to support an unbalanced plate. Then the Rav says that halacha does not follow Rabbi Nechemia. That is in Rabotai Mishnah Daled. Mishnah here now discusses the law of a utensil that broke either before or on Shabbat. Kol hakelim hanitalin b'Shabbat, any utensil that may be moved on Shabbat, shivrehen nitalin imahen, it's written in parentheses, its broken pieces may also be moved. Now the word imahen doesn't appear in correct versions of the Mishnah, as the commentators explain, so we're going to skip that, we're going to read it. Kol hakelim nitalin b'Shabbat, shivrehen nitalin. Any utensil that may be moved on Shabbat, its broken pieces may also be moved. Ubilvad shiyu osin me'en melacha, provided they can perform some sort of function, even if it's completely different from the utensil's original function, as the Rav explains. The Mishnah continues, for example, pieces of a broken mixing bowl that are fit to cover the opening of a barrel, and pieces of a broken glass container that are fit to cover the opening of a jar. Since these pieces are usable for something, they are still considered a utensil and are not muktzeh, as the Ritba explains in his commentary to Masechet Shabbat, page 124b. Now, pieces that are useless, however, are indeed muktzeh, as the Miri explains. Now, the next Tana disagrees regarding utensil that broke on Shabbat. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ubilvad shiyu sin men melachtan, pieces of a utensil that broke on Shabbat may be moved only if they can perform something like their original function. Shivrei ha'reva latzok letochan mikpa. For example, pieces of a broken mixing bowl must be fit to pour porridge into them. V'shel zichuchit latzok letochan shemen, and pieces of a broken glass container must be fit to pour oil into them. Now the Rav explains a mixing bowl used for kneading dough. Therefore, its pieces must be able to hold a thick dough-like substance such as porridge. The pieces of the glass container, which is used to hold liquids, must be fit to contain oil or other liquids. Now, in cases like these, the pieces are not muktzah. However, if they cannot be used for anything resembling the vessel's original function, but only for an entirely new function, they are like newly formed vessels, and therefore they are muktzah under the category of nolad, literally born, something created on Shabbat, which the commentators explain. The category of nolad includes items that did not exist or were not usable when Shabbat began, meaning if a utensil broke on Shabbat and its pieces cannot be used for anything that resembles the utensil's purpose, they are like new utensils that did not exist before Shabbat. Rabbi Yehuda therefore holds that they are nolad. The Rav does tell us, Rabbi Yehuda, that Halacha does not follow Rabbi Yehuda. That is in Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody shall have a Shavua Tov. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.